everyone. Welcome to another episode of Book Reviews with Zandrixa. Listen, I have been reading my books, honey, and this has got to be one of my favorites of the year. It was beautifully written. I got the idea to read Shallow Waters. Mind you, the book I'm talking about is Shallow Waters. I got the idea to read Shallow Waters after hearing Charlamagne the God talk about it every day on Breakfast Club for the last year or two. I definitely watch Breakfast Club every morning to start off my day, and he always end the tagline with Anita Kopacz, Shallow Waters, even on his podcast, Brilliant Idiots, Anita Kopacz, Shallow Waters, Shallow Waters. I was like, man, I'm gonna have to get this book. And especially when I heard it was about a black mermaid, I said, okay, it's unique. Charlamagne keeps talking about it. I read his first book. I didn't read the second one, but I read his book as well. And I was like, okay, he keeps recommending his book, so I'm gonna get it. And I am so glad that I did. It was an amazing book, greatly written. I feel like I was inside of the book. It was like a dream, honestly. I could have finished it earlier if I didn't have to work, but it was so worth the read. I took my time. I felt empowered after reading it, even though it didn't end the best way I wanted it to. It didn't end great. It ended up pretty sad, but it was still one of my favorite reads of the year. So this book is about a black mermaid named Yemaya. I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly, but her name is Yemaya. It's spelled Yemaya. She's a beautiful black mermaid, and she swims throughout the African Sea and the African Ocean, whatever ocean is over there. And she always sees this boy named Obatala. They have this connection, not really conversation type of connection. I'm gonna hold this up. Why am I holding this up? Y'all get it. But they have this sort of connection, like they have a chemistry while they haven't said any words necessarily to each other. Whenever she gets caught in a net, he's there to help her. Whenever he's out fishing with his other friends, she's there just watching him, and he sees her, and they just always lock eyes, and they know they love each other. Even if she's in the sea and he's on land, and they're not exactly the same. They're two different people. They're still in love, and they love seeing each other and hanging out, whether it's talking or not. They just like seeing each other's presence. Well, there was one instance that changed everything when Yemaya went to go see Obatala, and she sees him, he's with his friend, and everything is cool. They're hanging out like they usually do, and then she looks behind her, or what should I say, behind her, next to her, it was pretty close, a couple of ships with white people on it. I forgot what they called them. Colonizers. Let's call them colonizers, because that's what they are. Colonizers riding on these ships, huge ships. She signals Obatala, hey, these ships are coming. I don't know what's going on. It doesn't seem like it's a good idea to get anywhere near these ships. I think you guys should figure out a way to hide or fight back. I don't know. These ships are coming. Y'all prepare yourselves. So Obatala tells his tribe, hey, these big ships with colonizers are coming. And mind you, these are people they've never seen. They've never seen people with white skin or pale skin. They're just used to people with dark skin, brown skin, because they're in Africa, of course. So Obatala signals over the people of his tribe that, hey, these people are coming. Let's get ready. Let's get prepared. And things took a really dark turn from there. The colonizers got Obatala's tribe, his family, his friends, and everybody else pretty much on the island onto those ships and sent them over to America for the slave trade that we all know about today. Now from there, Yemaya has a decision. Does she want to stay and hope Obatala comes back, or does she follow the ships to wherever they're going to stay close to her true love and hope that she can see him again? Well, she decides to tie herself to one of the ships and swim over to America to stay close to Obatala. That journey itself was hard for her. I mean, having to see her people jump off the ships and hear them crying and see babies floating and people being sunk and people not eating. It was a terrible experience for not just her, but the people actually on the ship. And while this is a fictional book, it definitely shines light on what actually happened and how Black people got here in the United States. And it's pretty sad that even happened, but that's a whole different story. Now, this part kind of confused me because, like I said, Yemaya was a Black mermaid. At some point, she lost consciousness when she was tied to the ship, and she woke up and she was around this tribe, and she had feet and legs. So I don't know when that happened, like when she actually, migrated over to becoming a human, but that did happen in the story. I don't know how that happened exactly, but It happened. She eventually had feet and legs, and she was no longer a mermaid, but she still had mermaid capabilities, and she still needed water to increase her power and generate her power. Once she's with this tribe, I believe she lost exactly where the ships were, but she was with this tribe, and they look to her in a completely different light that she has never been looked at before, and they see her as a goddess. And the right term for goddesses is actually orishas, which is gods and goddesses as well. And Yemaya didn't know she was a goddess. She just thought she was a black mermaid, you know, swam through the sea, and she loved being in the water, but she didn't know the power that she had within her. But somehow, some way, everybody else did. All the Africans that were migrated to the United States, as well as Africans that were in Africa. I mean, they knew the abilities and capabilities that Yemaya had, and she didn't even know. Yemaya was the goddess of the sea. So the power she had in her was if someone, for example, was wounded pretty badly, and that's something that happened a lot in the Atlantic slave trade, what she would do is generate her power from water and, you know, have the power built up in her and then seal their wounds. I thought that was just so powerful. I mean, from the slashes on Obatala's back to when someone was beat badly and when someone was brutally hurt because of the slave trade, she would generate her power from water and heal their wounds. And when that tribe and all of the tribes that she saw throughout the Atlantic slave trade and through going through the Underground Railroad, when she generated that power and helped the people that needed it before they even died, she saved a lot of lives. Just reading about that and understanding the power she had within her that she didn't even know was definitely empowering as a black woman and as a reader. I won't get into all of the ins and outs of the book because it's a lot to get into. I mean, it's not a hard read. It's not a lot of pay. I mean, it's the easy read. I'm telling you guys, it's going to be like a story. It's going to be hard for you guys to put the book down. But anyway, reading slave books and books about the Atlantic slave trade and black struggle isn't something I'm really into, but I think this was something totally different. While it's nothing wrong with reading books like that, because we can't avoid books like that because of the world we live in and how we became the people we are today in America. I mean, we got to know the history. So I'm not really into reading them because they can be depressing, but it was something different about this book that was so empowering and opened my mind to the history of being African and the history of the power we have within us that sometimes we don't even know. And throughout this book, the Underground Railroad was also mentioned, and even Harriet Tubman and her journey through getting African Americans, or Africans, I should say, out of slavery and into the North so they can be safe. Spoiler alert, real quick. Sorry, I'm sorry. So she went through this whole journey to go from Africa to the United States to be closer to Obatala. When she finally got to him, they embraced each other and they shared their love and they became one, if you know what that means. So they became one. Colonizers did at some point find out that Yemaya was a goddess and she was a goddess of the sea, but they called it a witch. They kept calling her a witch. It's not what it was. She wasn't a witch. She just had powers and she was a goddess of the sea, like literally. So her journey to get to Obatala from the south to the north was not easy. I mean, she herself got whipped. She herself was disrespected. She herself was looked at like a piece of dirt. Like it was a hard journey for her. But when she finally got to Obatala, they became one. They exchanged their love and exchanged words, and they became one. And then not long after, Obatala and her were found, and Obatala ended up dying. And then at the end of the book, it says, 5 years later, Obatala and Yemaya have a son. And the son's like, I want to know the history about my dad. Such a powerful book, such an amazing, articulate, immaculate book. I'm actually going to give it a 9 out of 10. It was amazing, a great read. Make sure you guys pick yourself up a copy. I believe this is Anita Kopac's first ever book that she's ever written, and she did a phenomenal job. I can't wait to read more of her work, so be sure to get you guys a copy. Continue to follow Book Reviews with Zandrixa. I got a lot of books I've been reading. I just got to tell y'all about them. I still been reading. I just got to tell y'all, and I will. So you guys stay updated and keep in contact with me on all social media. For now, see you later.